what we're doing today impacts our business in January, right?
In January, yep, 2023.
So we're basically, our activities now are determining our pocketbook in 2023. Can you believe that?
Colleen and I are ahead of you, Rob. We just did this the other day. We did our go-to-market strategy, didn't we, Colleen? For 2023.
Yes, we did.
But I mean, I think everybody's starting to think about, planning, but like the reality is if you start planning in November, like it's gonna hit the second quarter, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I want to get ahead of that with everybody and have a meaningful conversation, about how we could help. And I put in the let me just look on my phone here. I put in
Rob,
yes.
Sorry. I always told the agents that if they work really hard, starting now and work through December, don't take December off, they will have money to pay their bills in January from the holidays.
Exactly, right?
Yep.
True.
And I talk about these things not because I have a strategy to try to, squeeze an extra transaction out of anybody, because to be honest, that wouldn't even work. I do this because, I've been doing it for a long time, and a lot of people repeat the same mistakes over and over again. And by way of example, it's probably going back 5 or 6 years ago. There's a agency in our county where the owner or the proprietor of the agency has been doing it for 61 years. So you do the math on how old she may or may not be. And she had an agent who could barely walk, a nice gentleman, but he was very difficult to deal with. And when I was trying to solve a problem with her, she goes, Tommy, he's a good kid. He's probably 80. And she goes, he's been doing this with me for 41 years, Rob. And he repeated the first year 41 times. She's like, I don't know if you have any people like that. And I was like, I never forgot that story, because if you think about it, like, is your second year and your third year stacking upon them, or are you just repeating you're doing the same strategy year in and year out? And, that message, it just is ingrained in my head, because I completely can relate to what she's talking about. He's making the same mistakes he made 41 years ago and 40 years ago and 39 years ago. And I hope that by sharing this with you, that, we can have an impact and we can influence whatever your own goals are so that you can get there. And I took a look at the word promise, right? And I've met with a couple of teams and talked to the team leaders and then the team members about, changing the trajectory for the upcoming year, making a contribution. After one of those meetings for you New Jersey folks, I sent the email out about door knocking again. And, some of the people that are door knocking 3, 4, 5, 6 times, you've been door knocking with me, that's great. But I think what that's becoming your day to door knock, but not your day to learn and take that activity and extend it out as part of your practice. Okay. And, I'm glad to, spend time. I'm glad to help sharpen your skills. But if all you ever do is door knock with Rob 4 times a year, or whatever the frequency is, I think you're really missing the point. You're really missing out on the opportunity. The word promise, and promise, in my opinion, is a mutual promise, and that's from our leadership team and from yourself, is a declaration or assurance that one will do a particular thing or that a particular thing will happen. A declaration or assurance that one will do a particular thing or that a particular thing will happen. Okay. And I think that might even be a little bit stronger than a commitment, right? I mean, you can commit to something, but it's not quite a promise. And the promise has to first be to yourself, right? And then you have to have a reason why you're promising, whether it's, it's your team, your family, your coach, your your office leadership, because we're only asking for a commitment or a promise from you so that we can help you be more accountable to the outcome that you desire, right? You know, I'm looking at Maria in the corner of my eye, and you know, how many times, Maria, do you see people with great talent that say they're going to do stuff, but allow things to get in the way, right? And some of the most successful people that
Rob, we lost you. Where's Rob?
Promised he was gonna
Where's
be.
Rob?
He went to celebrate the new year.
He went door knocking. Uh-oh.
Keep going, Maria, keep going.
All right, well, whoever's been on any of my workshops, and Anthony Lambiasi, he's been to a lot of my workshops. Door knocking is part of my farming strategy, and farming all comes to dedication, commitment, not getting up, you know, giving up actually, and consistency. So if you do the same thing that I tell you to do every week, wow. And door knocking is part of it, and it becomes easy with a strategy. So I'm sorry, Rob, we lost you. So I was kind of filling in the gaps.
If I could follow up to what Maria said for a second, because this was really interesting and timely to today's mastermind. I had a coaching meeting with an agent who's been an agent for a number of years, but she's only been with us for a few months now at this point. And she came in originally with one thought in mind, and then in meeting with her this past week, and Deb was part of this meeting too, the agent said to us, you know what, since I've been here with RE/MAX Select, and I've jumped with both feet into all of the teachings, all the courses, and she specifically said, you know, Maria, she did classes with you on farming, and she was so pumped up now on how she can go about building her business just using the tools that are available to her from RE/MAX Select and from RE/MAX LLC that, you know, we had talked about when we recruited her, but now seeing it, she's seeing the potential to blow her business wide open. And this is somebody who's been doing business for a number of years, but suddenly realizes there's a lot more she could be doing to really build her business here at, you know, RE/MAX Select. And I thought that was really exciting and really plays into what you're talking about today, Rob, because it's a commitment to look at all aspects of the way you do business to build your business going forward.
Robert,
Sorry.
excuse me. Robert, I know who you're talking about, but you know what? The biggest thing that I walked away from, and thank you for the wonderful compliments. You know what she said to me? Wow, you make it where I'm not afraid to do this. I'm
Right.
not afraid. You taught me how not to be afraid of the door knocking, how not to be afraid of picking up that phone and calling. So if you have fears, talk to me and I'll get rid of them.
I would suggest that anybody that can participate in Ron's weekly calls where he does cold calling, role playing, because if you can do it in front of your peers, you can do it in front of anyone. So if you have the fear of making cold calls or even door knocking, participate in Ron's classes. They're really wonderful. They've really helped a lot of agents move forward.
You know, I would just like to also testify to what you had just said, that, you know, the false evidence appearing real, that's the acronym for fear. You know, when you're in that role play together, it breaks that shell off. And I think anybody who has any fear, you got to attend these classes and it will help you get through that barrier.
You're right, Anthony.
All right, so it appears that RE/MAX training keeps taking over this call from Rob.
Huh. All right, I'm gonna call Fred. hold on, I'm gonna call Fred.
Well, the thing is that these classes that we give and all the trainers in this meeting today, people just have to implement it in their business. I mean, it's good. We practiced it, some FISBOs yesterday, FISBO objections. And we spent about an hour on it. And it's really not complicated. I mean, for sale by owners are going to need us pretty soon, if not now. So with the interest rates up to 5.9, whatever they're at, things are slowing down. Prices are going to be starting coming down, and more properties be coming up. So supply is going to be there. And you're going to see a lot of these for sale by owners stay on the market a lot longer than they did before. So it's just a matter of just calling them and talking, have a conversation with them and just talk to them. Some of them are going to hang up on you, some are going to be nasty, but the majority of them, if you say the right things, they'll talk to you and you'll be able to get information that you need and possibly get an appointment.
So, sorry for my technical challenges here. I have too many tabs open and sometimes my thing crashes. So, my apologies. I will say, after talking to some of the teams and talking with members on teams that have kind of got a little bit of a head start on this concept, is that their business is not down whatsoever. Their business is up. They are fully engaged in the activities that they're doing, and they don't even know that some of us in this industry are saying that the market's slowing down. Okay. If you do the right things, this business, you will own it and you will own the lifestyle that you want. After one of the team meetings, I don't know, I don't think Michael Eisner was on, but I was talking about, just different things that you could be doing. Like you could join a networking group, like a BNI, or you can go to YPN, or you can go to LATIP, or things like that. One of the team meetings we had, the next morning, two of the team members were at a chapter, and they were like, shoot, they already have a real estate agent, but I'll find another one. The next morning, we did the meeting on Wednesday. I guess a lot of them have Thursday morning meetings, and they were immediately taking action to do these activities. In doing a little bit of research, here's some numbers that I found. Some of these are going back 2 to 4 years, but it says less than 10% of the real estate industry, when surveyed, make 15 contacts with a prospect in a week. 90% of people don't even talk to 3 people a day if they work 5 days a week. 90%. Less than 4% of people have actively cold called even once in the past 12 months. Less than 4% of our industry has actively cold called not one time or more in the past 12 months. That means 96% of our industry is not making any cold calls. And less than 2% of our industry consistently makes cold calls or prospecting calls on a regular basis. Does that seem shocking to anybody? Or does that seem like, I've been around this group, I suspected it, that probably is real?
I suspected it,
That's why
Rob.
they say 20% of the agents are successful and 80% aren't.
Well, I mean, Colleen, like we look at the 80-20, probably, that 80-20 are probably the people who are like pretending to be active, but there's another group that hasn't even raised their hand to be active. But what I'm saying is that if you do these things consistently, it changes your life. And, this is not, Rob or Colleen or anybody trying to, manipulate you to get the numbers up. This is trying to give you the tools and information to make the right choice for yourself so that you don't wind up on this on the hamster wheel, right? I know some of us here, we have a couple of good months. We kind of slack a little bit. Then, when one deal is in jeopardy, we're like, oh my God, that's gonna, now I'm not gonna be paying my bills. I'm gonna be in trouble. Like, hopefully, I don't know how I'm gonna phrase this, but yeah, I'm sure we've all seen this, and hopefully we haven't lived it. And if we've lived it, it's in the past, because there is abundance of business out there if you just do the right things. You can't get by not having discipline in the changing market.
It's
cannot-
like, sorry,
Yeah, you cannot.
it's like, go
You
ahead.
cannot, Colleen, you cannot fake it and just get lucky anymore. You have to be intentional, right?
Exactly. I think it should be called a productive habit. When you start doing these things, it's like exercising. When you exercise every day, you feel good about it and you continue. And when you have a day you don't exercise, something's missing. Well, that should be the same thing, a component of your business plan. And it becomes a habit, a good habit that helps you stay on top of things and produce.
I mean, if you've ever done some, income or some business productive activities and you were successful at it, does anybody want to describe what it feels like when you got through your fear, you made a couple hours of calls, you went and knocked on a handful of doors, you did things that made you uncomfortable, and then when it's done, how does that feel? What's the emotion?
Usually you feel like you accomplished something and you realize it's not anywhere near as hard as you thought it was. You tend to make it a bigger deal in your head than it actually really is when you're doing it. Kind of like when we did the group calling session and that first call came across, we just kept kind of going forward with them. I think it's also better if you're first starting out and you're really that nervous, do it in a group setting, because then, some people just work better when there's other people around them, even if they're not interacting.
Right. And I think, TJ, that the concept and the motivation behind why you're calling, like, I guess if you're, just equating calling as a means to making, dead presidents in your bank account and, making money, it becomes more difficult. But if you think about, hey, I can help people, I can impact, people that I speak to that I maybe don't even know yet, and help them to make decisions that might change their life, that's a game changer in my opinion, right? And that gives me the courage. That gives me the courage to go over the words or the language that somebody may say on the phone. And if you've been to some of the call sessions, or if you've been to some of the door knocking, or if I sat in an open house with you, you'll see that it's not them, right? We like to say, boy, that guy was a jerk, right, TJ? It's easy to blame that person, but who is it usually that's the problem?
It's usually the approach that is being given to them. It's either a hard sell or, just going right into it, not really caring, not introducing it. The whole goal is making money and not helping the other person. If
anybody's been out on one of our journeys of walking the street of door knocking, and we knock on a door and somebody is like got a attitude like you've never seen, and then we leave there and they're like, wow, this is really cool, I wish you a lot of luck. And sometimes they're like, can I get you a beverage? It's hot out. Has anybody on this call been on one of those doors where the person was curt, rude, obnoxious, and by the time we left, maybe we didn't get a transaction, but they were like, oh, this is really cool, I wish you the best, can I get you a water?
Yes, Rob, yes.
So people have been here, your peers have been there, where people answer the door, they're quite frankly, they're expecting to be angry, You know, we're the target before them, and we're just like, hey, I just wanted to see if I could be of any help. Do you know anybody that I could help? You know, oh great, you know, have a nice day. Oh well, come on in. Let me give you a glass of water. Let me give you a Gatorade. Let me give you one guy's like, let me give you an adult beverage. I have them in the garage. Like this happens all the time, right? Because we're just saying, can we help? And it's that same spirit that we need to overcome and, you know, reach out to people and have that discipline. You know, you probably get tired of hearing me say this, but you know, if you're going to commit to greatness and you believe in what you do, you know, you really have an obligation that transcends your pipeline of business, that transcends your 1099 for the end of the year, transcends what you're doing, but you have an obligation to help people, right? Just like a doctor has the obligation to save lives, we have an obligation to help people if we've made the investment and we can provide a better service. We have a moral obligation to help people, and the more people that we help, you know, the more money that winds up in our bank account. The more people we help get what they want, the easier it is for us to get what we want, right? So, you know, the word, you know, promise is a word that I want to leave this meeting with, or maybe I should say lead the meeting with, by saying, like, you know, if you want to make a commitment, make a promise that you're going to do some activities, give it the opportunity to mature, and you know, find the activities that you're comfortable with, you're committed to. The best people I've seen in the business have had habits like, I'm going to tell you, like if they're doing prospecting from 9 to 11, 9 to 12, they're not scheduling home inspections, right? If you had a home inspection scheduled from 9 to 12 on Thursday and your other client says, hey, I want to do my home inspection between 9 and 12, you physically can't do it. You have to tell them what? What do you tell them? All right, I'm going to, Anthony, if you're booked between 9 and 12 and somebody else says, hey, can you
We're
show
gonna
me?
have to make it an alternate time.
Because I'm booked, right?
I'm booked already. Yes.
I already have a
I have a
commitment.
previous commitment.
If you're going to a closing between, you know, 2 and 3:30 and somebody says, you know, can I schedule a showing then? You're going to say, how about at 4 o'clock? Or how about at 11:30? Because I'm already working. I already have a commitment at that time. Prospecting needs to be a commitment, just like anything else. Like if you're going on a $3 million listing appointment, Scott Kaplan, if you're going on a $3 million listing appointment, what's the likelihood that you're not going to show up?
0.
You're going to show up 1,000%, right?
Yep.
So if you knew that you were making $600 an hour, and I paid you from when you showed up till when you left, and I said 2.5 hours a day, you come in, at the end of that session, you get $1,500. Would you be late?
Nope.
Would you leave early?
Nope.
Now, if you do prospecting over time, even if you're average, and if you're average and you do it consistently, you're going to improve. You're going to be making more than $600 an hour, because that's where the opportunities come. And if you are facing the fears that you have by making these outbound calls, knocking on expireds, calling people, knocking, like all the activities that we know we need to do, if you do those things, initially you might feel a little bit uncomfortable. You're going to get better at it, and you're going to be able to help more people, right? And you know, that's going to be the promise. That's going to be the commitment that I believe that we need to do to move the needle for 2023. And the amazing part about this whole conversation is the synergy. Like if something's easy, is there the same satisfaction accomplishing it than if something's hard? No, right? If something's easy, there's no satisfaction. So let's not wish that this business was easier, right? Let's make ourselves better and not wish for the business to be easier. Because if the business was easier, you know, Jeff Bezos would come in and it would be done through Amazon, right? Wish that we're better, make us better, make that commitment. Don't think that you want to be better. Make yourself better by putting yourself in positions where you can grow.
Rob, I'd like to make a comment about Alexa. I know she's on the call, if she would speak up. We had a conversation a while back, and she was sort of, off the track a little. And we made a little plan of things she was going to do. And she started using Vulcan 7 again, which she liked very much. And she has been so successful. I'm so proud of her. She's got listings coming. She's got buyers she's working with. She's just, just on fire, literally. Alexa, are you here? I've embarrassed her.
She muted herself. So, Colleen, I think the activities that, we need to do, that we need to make ourselves uncomfortable, that we need to commit to, ultimately, once they're done, give us this emotion of accomplishment, this high that you get if you do it consistently. And if you ever gotten into the good habit of doing something, when you miss a day, you feel, for me, you feel a sense of guilt that you've kind of missed it, right? Like, you wouldn't not show up for a $3 million listing appointment. You would not show up for a job paying you $600 an hour. But how do we feel okay, cheating ourselves by not doing what we need to do because we stayed out a little late last night, we have a migraine, it's rainy, I don't feel like we have all these excuses. I'm looking, I see Mr. Turner there. Carlos, I'm calling you out. Like Carlos, every morning, how many days a week do you have your team meeting with your virtual staff?
Every day except Sundays.
So 6 days a week, and like you're pretty busy, right?
Yeah.
How often do you miss that meeting?
Never.
I mean, like that's, it's annoying at times, but like, once you break the chain, right, it doesn't exist anymore. Right. And I see he's doing stuff right now but that's the activities and that's the commitment or the promise that we need to have. And, within this organization, we have so much diversity of talent and business opportunities, and we have a culture of sharing that is second to none. Literally, I've not had somebody say, I've called somebody from Florida, from Morristown, from Tinton Falls, and I offered to buy them a cup of coffee, and they said, no, I'm not going to share with you what I'm doing. It's like, this is a tremendous, tremendous sharing culture of people that are doing diverse things to come up with success. And, I think we grossly underutilize that opportunity, and talking about, 2023, the Happy New Year piece here. This also revolves around, what's the end game? Like, this is not about, if you make a lot of money and you're the richest person in the grave, that doesn't do anybody any good, does it? So I think we need to, figure out that complete balance of, what's going to give us what we need. And I'm going to call out somebody else that is fresh in my mind. Hopefully I don't embarrass you, but, Scott Kaplan is somebody who has goals of doing business, but also has goals of taking time off. And Scott, do you mind just sharing our candid conversation about your business plan?
Hold on a sec, let me turn the echo down. Okay. My business plan right now is in the works. We are working on growing the team specifically to be able to A, be successful, but B, to be able to take the time off that I want. Last year, I went away almost every single month for at least 4 to 5 days and got a little accustomed to that. So now I'm actually working a little bit harder. So that way, as you said, next year we have the plan in place so I can still take my vacations. Right now, my next vacation is the week of Thanksgiving. And then although I will take off the last 2 weeks of the year, I intend to have closings going on while I'm on vacation. So that's kind of how we're working the business plan right now, and having the right people on the team in place allows you to be able to go away and not be as stressed out.
And Scott, when you're not away, are there days that you work more than 8 hours?
Yeah. Last night being one of them.
Right? But I mean, like, it's all worth it when you have that plan, right? You know that it's all coming together for a greater purpose, right?
Yes.
And I want to say that it was really refreshing when, you know, we talked about, you know, what your business or your strategy and your plan for the future was, how you had that balance built in, which I think it's the synergy between the two that gives you the ability to work those long hours, right? Because you have a goal, and the goal is not 8 months away. Maybe it's 6 weeks away or 4 weeks away, because you take those mini trips that have tremendous value to you and your family, right?
Yes. Yeah,
And,
it is. Right now, you definitely need to plan. It is a different market, and all the things you're saying, and that's why I'm on these calls, because it really makes a difference. Last week, I was in the office making my phone calls. Things are already coming to fruition, kind of like with Alexis right now. So, you know, it's just you put the time in, the results will come out.
So I'm going to give everybody, and you might want to have a pen handy. This is going to be a secret to working a lot less. And the secret is, if you love what you do and it doesn't seem like work, it doesn't feel like you're working that hard, right? Because you can go to work and be like, oh, I'm working till 9 tonight, or you can be like, yeah, I'm blessed to have so much business, and you know, this was a great day, and maybe you even look at it and say, hey, you know, what can I build into my system so that I can continue to grow and handle more business more efficiently? Does that make sense? Right? Instead of being angry that you're at the office till 9 o'clock at night, or you're getting calls until, you know, the wee hours of, you know, until 8, 9 o'clock at night, clients are calling you. Does anybody ever get frustrated with the fact that your phone never stops ringing? I know some of you do. So why don't you just unmute yourself and say, yeah, sometimes it gets to be a little overwhelming to get all these calls.
I welcome.
Very overwhelming.
I welcome.
So that was Carlos. Says it gets very overwhelming. But I got a news flash for you. If his phone stopped ringing, he'd be freaked out. Where's my business? Right? So sometimes we're like, you know, we feel like overwhelmed, and sometimes it's the boundaries that we set, right? Because we as an industry make it seem like, hey, Rob Garber, it's okay. Call me anytime, 24/7. I'm here to help you, right? Is that the right message?
No.
And Robert, can you unmute? Like, can you share with the group what you do?
Sorry. Yeah, I let my clients know up front that my phone is on from 8 to 8, and I'm happy to talk to them anytime between those hours. But if you call after 8 o'clock, you can leave a message or you can leave a text, and I will respond to you at 8 o'clock the next morning.
And do you think you've ever lost a client because you didn't answer the phone at 9:30?
No, I don't. And because I also feel that, you know, sometimes when you're answering calls at that late at night and there's a problem, there's really not a lot you can do to solve a problem at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. So it's worked out very well for me that I know that at 8 o'clock I'm done and I can spend the time with my family and whatever else is happening will be there for me in the morning. Plus the fact, if you take a call late at night and it's really an upsetting call, then tell me how you're going to sleep.
And usually in this business, there's no real estate emergencies at 9 o'clock at night, Robert,
Right,
or at 6 in the morning, right?
right.
So that those boundaries and the ability to set expectations and, live up to those expectations are huge. And, I'm sure that, Scott Kaplan has a plan and a strategy where he doesn't completely abandon his clients while he's away. Because he wouldn't be so successful without having a plan and a strategy to do that. And, we need to, ride on the, success or the structure that others have established and trust in those, because if your phone stopped ringing, 90, let's say, what do we have? We have 80 people left on the call. 79 of you would be freaked out. Where's my next deal coming from if my phone wasn't ringing? Because we're junkies. Like, we need to have that engagement to feel like there's business coming down the pike, that we're significant by solving problems, right? I know you all understand that component to it, right? Like, nobody can solve this problem better than me. Even though we don't really want to get it, but that gives us significance.
Hey, Rob, I just want to chime in real quick for those who don't know, and you're starting to see how many weeks till Christmas, this, that, the other, but we have 18 weeks left till the end of the year. And that should mean 18 contracts, at least minimum. That should be the goal, one a week. There's been a phrase I've heard, I don't know if you've said it, but if your life depended on it, would you would you go get a contract? Would you find one? And I just kind of think, I know that's my mentality right now. And I got one last week. I got one this week. I got a listing. I'm already working on my 2 for next week, but my minimum goal is one a week, and I'm not stopping when I get one, but just a thought.
So if you were at the meeting last Thursday, not last night, but a week ago, we sat there and we were supposed to do calling. Shantae, you were at that, right?
At which meeting?
You were at the meeting in the office last Thursday evening.
Yes.
And I think at that meeting, I brought up something similar to what Scott said, which was, look, if you had to get, 5 listings in the next 30 days, or you're going to be sentenced to 10 years in prison, how many people would come up with 5 listings in the next 30 days? And I don't want you to, I mean, genuinely, if you had to get 5 listings, or we were in some contorted society where you'd go to prison for 10 years, how many listings do you think you'd have, Shantae?
5 or more.
You probably have 9 just in case 4 canceled, right? Because the consequence was so severe, correct? And I really believe that if we were in a contorted society where somebody came there and said, Shantae, 5 listings or you go to prison for 10 years, you would find a way to have this certainty and this commitment to getting it done. And if you already know you can get it done, then why does it take that consequence, right? And I don't think you're just saying it because it's like ridiculous, but I think that you have the ability to do that. You've taken listings, you know what it takes to take a listing. You can do like Scott mentioned, you can do a contract per week. And the reason why we don't is because, we allow our standard to say it's okay. Maria, it's okay not to get one this week. And then, next week is the week before Christmas. And then, hold on, Maria, let's role play here. You know what? It's back to school now, Maria. So everybody's in the back to school mode. Nobody's buying any houses now, right? The last 2 weeks. And now it's Labor Day weekend. Nobody's out there. And, next week, everybody's just getting back. So they're really not going to be, hustling. And then we have 3 weeks before everybody's getting ready for Thanksgiving. And then after Thanksgiving, what do we do?
Well, we're getting ready for Christmas.
And everybody's out there shopping, right? So basically, we have 3 weeks, Scott, until the year's over. If you believe that.
There's still
Right.
people buying. You can look on the MLS every day. There's still deals going under contract.
Right, but you are precisely right, but Scott, have you heard people use any of these excuses like, oh, everybody's getting ready to go back to school, nobody's out looking? You've
All the
heard those,
time.
right?
All the time. And that's why we know as professionals, there are people who take off the last month of the year or the last 2 months because they just feel like there's nothing going on.
So what if you have clients, Scott, that are saying, look, we're a little bit hectic shopping, getting ready for the holidays. I think we'll start looking back again after the new year. What if you had a strategy of going back to them and saying, hey, Scott, you know what? Completely appreciate that. But what I've found in my experience is the people who are actively looking in this period between, Halloween and Christmas, are able to find more selection and often get a better deal because there's less competition.
It's actually what I've told people for years, that the people who do buy during those 2 months get a better deal because there's not as many people, because they think that, and you can negotiate more. And the people who need to sell tend to be a little bit more, I don't want to use the word desperate, but if they need to sell,
motivated,
the only deal on the table, they are
a little more motivated.
Yeah.
So but we, and I'm using we, and I know it's not for you, Scott, but we as an industry, we just allow the narrative to dictate our mindset.
Well,
Right.
Agents think that they're, because it's the holidays, well, I'm gonna take it easy, and that they get in that lazy mode. And I find that December is probably my most productive month. But that's the mindset some of the agents get. Oh, it's party time, it's New Year's, it's Christmas, take it easy. It's not. You gotta work hard throughout every month, every year. Sorry to interrupt.
No, Ryan, this is a collaborative, discussion here, and I appreciate your contribution. But for us planning on, our Happy New Year, which starts today, when we don't dispel the myth, right? When somebody's like, hey, you know what? I'm really busy. I'm going to start shopping for my house, which seems to be more important than a trip to the mall after the holiday. Does that make any logical sense to anybody on this call if you break it down? Right? It doesn't make any sense. But yet we've been eating that and we've been believing it, and let the rest of the industry own that narrative, but let's us reject it and just say, look, we're here to serve. Like, we're here to help you. And, when everybody's out Christmas shopping, it's the time to buy a house that's on sale, right? That's the time to run with it. And if you had that conversation with 5 people, they'd probably say, you know what? I'm really not that busy, right? I can go out and take a look at 3 houses, or, I can start to prepare my house to go on the market. We can do those activities, right? Paul, do you have a question? I see you have your hand raised.
Well, it's more of a comment with buyers. I've always spoken with them about there are sellers who want to get their homes off the market by the end of the tax year. And in a way, it's almost like an end of year sale, where for some people, because of their personal finances, whatever the reason, they just want this home off their books in 2021, 2022, whatever the year is. So the fourth quarter is a huge opportunity.
I've seen more closings, Paul, happen in 8, 10, 15, 21 days in December than any other month, probably all the other months combined, because people have that, they have that necessity, or they have a benefit of, moving it, before the end of the year.
Here in Florida, everybody wants the homestead exemption. So they try to close at the end of the year so they get the homestead. So that keeps our sales open too.
Yeah.
Rob, I have 2 quick comments. One is, my manager, when I was first doing real estate, sat me down towards the end of the year and he said, look, I'm going to tell you something. and I think you really need to consider it. Christmas is a one-day holiday. The rest of the time, you can be doing business. The year doesn't end a month before Christmas. And the second thing is, God's honest truth, I sold a $2.5 million house on New Year's Day at 10 o'clock in the morning, sitting in the seller's living room. So there's business to be done. We just have to realize that the holidays, yes, we celebrate the holidays, but they're one day. They're not a month.
Yep.
And we have the advantage of our competition is sitting back and partying. I always say, you know, the title parties start in November. So from the beginning of November to the, 10th to January 10th or 15th, our competition's not working. It's opportunity for us.
More money
If
for
we
us.
get out there and work, we can get that business.
And Colleen, you know, being a coach and being in the business more than 3 years, as I know you are,
Colleen was my manager when I first got into business.
oh, Colleen, we have
She
to talk.
said the same thing
Colleen, we have to talk about that one.
And she said the same thing Robert just said, about Christmas. I
So,
learned a lot from you, Colleen.
Thank you.
so, Colleen, you know, coaching a lot of people through your career, there are people that light up when they do this business. Like that last couple that we met, they were talking about joining us.
Oh, yes.
Like when they talk about the business, they glow.
Yeah.
Right. They love the business. You know, they love the spotlight. You know, they talk in terms of, you know, I want to meet this next threshold, whether it's like a circle of excellence or a Remax award level or some sort of acknowledgement for their accomplishment. And it gives them a sense of purpose. And I can tell you that, you know, there are a lot of people in this business that could be in no other business, that they love what they do. You know, they get a charge out of it. And, you know, if you said, hey, when are you going to retire? They're like, what? Why would I retire? I love what I do. Right. And
Exactly.
I think the mindset, you know, makes it so you don't really have to work. Right. Like when I go out and I'm working and, you know, the next thing you know, it's 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, wow, you know, this day just disappeared. I didn't begrudge one bit of it, you know? If I'm helping somebody solve a problem, I'm out doing something, I'm going on an appointment. You know, Wayne, my coach says, Rob, you know, you have to have a little bit more discipline because you just love to go out and solve the problem right away. And that's part of your passion. I just can't change my DNA, you know?
I know what you mean. I can't either.
Like I for me, like the word administrator, like traditional executive just isn't inconsistent with my personal perception of who I am, right? Because I look at that as, you know, somebody who is telling people but who doesn't do, right? And
Yeah,
to me,
that's why I want to join your company.
that's a bit
After
hypocritical.
meeting
That's a
you
bit
and hearing how you
hypocritical,
care about the agents, you know?
right? And you know, the group we have here, Colleen, on a Friday before a holiday weekend, you know, we have over 80 people that were on the call, and some of them are in offices and groups. To me, that's pretty impressive of commitment. And you know, you don't show up here if you don't really enjoy and want to grow and want to serve people, right?
True.
You know, early on in my younger days, I thought like sales was like a manipulative thing, right? Like I'm going to learn some secret language, Colleen, that I could tell people that they'll do things that they don't want to do, and I'll make a lot of money, right? But what I've learned over time is if you can communicate that, you know, I'm competent, I'm here to help you, and how can I serve you? You'll be the best salesperson without ever making a sale, right?
Absolutely.
You know, you have to know what you're doing. Like, you know, if you've never just an example, if you've never sold a piece of commercial property and you try to fail your way to success on a $10 million listing, that's a really bad idea. But most of us, we operate in this comfort zone where we're experts, and we just don't feel comfortable sharing that with enough people, if that makes any sense.
It does. It makes a lot of sense.
So, I think for the leaders, for our leadership team here, our job is not to lead or educate. It's also to inspire, guide, and be a role model for everybody. And it's not just to do more business, but to do business in a way that, maybe at the end of the day or week, you're like, I can't believe I'm even getting paid for this,
Especially when you find that home for the first time home buyer and you see them smiling and they're so excited. Money cannot buy that feeling.
Correct.
I mean that, and Robert, that, I know you have a pretty big sale going on in your office, or hopefully we have our fingers crossed. I think in the company, just in the past 2 weeks, there's, some significant sales that we haven't seen in the past 2 quarters, probably north of 5. We have one north of 10, several in the $2 to $5 million range. Something is going out there. Maybe it's that, we're, our efforts are now coming to roost for us, all the hard work that we've done. But Maria, you've seen some amazing activity in your market too, right?
Absolutely. I won't say who, but this gentleman got a $10 million buyer, cash buyer, that they are now negotiating. We're doing very, very well. Our average price point is at this point a little over 850,000.
Like, I don't know if I ever even walked into a $10 million house, Maria.
I haven't either. I could just imagine what this commission check is going to be like. And they're paying out 2%.
That'd be fun to show.
I know. We have to take a picture of it.
I was in a $5 million house yesterday that we're under contract on. And I'll tell you, I could easily move into the pool.
I know. But you know what? On another note, yes, the market is shifting, and it's shifting only because the mentality now is, oh, I can still get 100 offers on my house, so I'm going to list it at a price that I want. Well, 3 months ago in my neighborhood, there were only 3 homes for sale, all over 900,000. Today, there are 14 homes, and they've all been sitting on the market for over 30 days, all overpriced. So their buyers are still out there, and they're still, bidding wars, not the 15, 20 at a clip, but you're going up against maybe 5 or 6 other buyers, but these are properties that are priced right.
I mean, I'm going to go on the recorded record here saying that I have no concern or fear with wherever the market goes if we're doing the activities we need to do, because everybody else, just like there was that euphoria in the past that the market's so great, everybody's getting their real estate license. Now everybody's like, oh my God, when is the bottom going to fall out? When's the market going to crash? Right. And, I'm not smart enough to know what the market's going to do. My best guess is we're going to see a 5 to 15% correction just because of economics. But if there's a 25% correction or there's a 10% increase, it doesn't matter. Okay. I'm still playing my game. I'm still doing what I do. And if you're committed to the process, you should not be fearful of going forward, and you should be more significant than ever before because the market's more difficult, not easier.
Rob, if I could just say one thing to that, twice in the last week right now, I've had to coach listings and clients on the CMA values and the pricing. And like Maria just said about the homes on the market, if you really look at the comps and kind of evaluate what has sold in the last 30 to 90 days, and you have to look at that a little bit separately because we've seen for the last 3 months prices coming down. The new market price of what people are willing to pay is lower than what a lot of the realtors are asking, but still way above last year's numbers. And as an example, the most recent listing I just had that I priced $22,000 over the highest price sale, sold in 5 days with multiple offers, where the other homes in the neighborhood were listing for $450 and had been on the market for 30 and 60 days. So there's still really good sales opportunity for sellers right now to take advantage of the market, but you just have to be a little bit more realistic. And unfortunately, the days of, any price, anything goes are gone, but there's still opportunity to make a seller a lot more money. And in cases making $100,000 more than they did last year, it's just not crazy anymore.
You're muted, Rob.
I think that, you're right, Scott. You got to really tell the owners and these sellers that when you list a property, they have to be a little bit more real in their numbers by bringing those comps like you just said. We're seeing what's sold in the past 3 to 6 months, and up to now, more houses are staying on the market. They're, price reduction. So pricing it right will give them an opportunity to get better offers on the property.
In the last week, in Broward, there's been 67 price reductions.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to Scott because I just want to complete this with him. But Scott, is it a buyer's or a seller's market now? Scott Kaplan.
Sorry, Rob. I had it muted. I actually wanted to check. In the last 24 hours in Broward County, we have 106 price decreases in the last 24 hours for Broward County. But right now, it's still a seller's market, but buyers have more opportunity to do a little negotiation, and it's better for them to not get beat out the way that they were. So it's coming closer to a more fair market is the way I'm looking at it, where buyers have a chance, sellers have a chance. I think everybody can win.
So I can, with good conscience, and if I were recorded, not be embarrassed to say that it's both a buyer's and a seller's market. If you want to sell and you price it right, it's still going to move at a very high number, higher than a year ago. It may not be at the peak, but if you sold at the peak, some people are thinking, let me wait and see if I can get greedy and get more, right? So you're going to get out a really good number. And for those of us who can remember just 3 to 6 short weeks ago or months ago, like there were 10, 12, 15 contracts on every single house. So if you have a buyer now, there's good news. You can actually find a place, you might not have to bid $50,000 or $100,000 above it, and you can get your house. And although rates have gone up a bit, if rates go back down, what are you going to do, Scott?
If rates go back down, I tell my clients to refinance and they're winning double.
Right. And what would happen if the world changed and rates never came back down again and you got in at 6? And if you've been in the business as long as Colleen and I, you remember when it was 13%, right? If you got in at 6 and you didn't wait and chase it, if it went up to 7 or 8, are you then going to decide that you're not going to live your life and make a move? That's ridiculous.
And
people are still going to buy.
You're absolutely right in educating people. We have an entire generation's mindset that only knows what happened since 2008, and they don't know what it was like for reality for the 30 years of real estate before, and that the average over the last 30 years is a 6 to 7% finance number. So it's just going back to the norm. And when educating them on that, over 70% of the homes in the United States have equity. We're not going to have a crash. Correction's the right word. And just using the black and white factual numbers, it helps enlighten a lot of people that, hey, the market's not that bad. Plus with rent prices haven't come down.
And
Real estate is correcting, but rent prices haven't come down yet.
And Scott, with the turbulence in the stock market, you think most people have taken all their money out of the stock market or no?
If they're smart, they haven't.
I don't think, I think most people have stayed in. Most people have probably lost money over the past 6 months, but they're staying in it. And if you
Yep.
want to own a house, you know, the discussion of where an interest rate is shouldn't really be a discussion, because I can frame it where the interest rates today, you know, if they go down, you win. If they go up, you win. And I can tell it with good conscience, because if rates were to go up 1% a year for the next 10 years, up to 16%, you'd be the smartest person in the room, having locked in at a 5 3/4 interest rate or a 5 1/4 rate, correct? And then if you bought now, while there's a little bit less competition and you can actually see 2 or 3 houses and not have to pay double digits over asking price, you know, you would be lucky, you know, and then when the rates fall, you're going to refinance it. So rates go up, you win. Rates go down, you win. How is it any other way? But if you let the media educate our consumer, they're running scared, right?
That's the problem. The media is scaring a lot of the buyers. They talk a lot of negativity about interest rates and the market and, you know, what's going on. I see it on the news all the time, and I could shoot them because
Right,
it's not real.
So Ron, here's my gift to you guys as we close this out is, you know,
Yeah, how much?
so hold on, can you mute everybody there, Fred? This is really important. I'm going to unmute myself after you do that.
Done.
Okay. So here's a tip that I think we should all use, because our industry has a habit of doing this. Ron, if interest rates go up, you're going to be glad you bought now. And then if interest rates go down, you can refinance, is very different from asking the question like this. Hey, Ron, now we have an opportunity to buy with a little bit more inventory. If rates continue to go up and they go up 1% a year for the next 3 years, how are you going to feel about locking in at 5 3/4? Role play with me, Ron.
Pretty good.
And if we bought now and rates went back down to 3 and 4%, what are you going to do?
Refinance.
You're going to refinance. And if rates go back down, what do you think is going to happen to the inventory?
It could probably go up.
Inventory is going to, if rates go down, there's going to be more or less buyers, Ron.
I think there's more buyers.
So if the rates drop and we wait for the rates to drop, then the prices are going to go up. So we're going to lose that benefit we have today. So it's up to you how you want to proceed. But I just wanted to make sure that I gave you the full information. And the difference is asking questions and having Ron answer them is an epic difference from telling them what's going to happen. And I'm going to leave this meeting with that. If anybody has any questions, you can hang on for a minute or two. If not, have a fantastic Labor Day weekend, recharge your battery, and let's come back with a passion next to none to serve people and to, you know, live a fulfilling career here and a fulfilling life.
Rob, can I just remind everyone about the next couple of Thursdays?
Absolutely.
Okay, so guys, we've been, I rolled out a nice, for the past couple of Thursdays, going into the end of September. From 10 to 12, I'm doing a doubling down prospecting event, marketing or target marketing for farm areas, and using Cole and First. Then from 5 to 6, Rob comes in and we're doing role playing and objection handling. And from 6 to 8, we're making calls. But last week in Westfield, the agents preferred working on handling objections to be stronger. So we spent 3 hours, right, Rob, on handling objections and role playing, and it was kind of fun. And we gave out lottery prizes too. So next week it's in Closter, and then we're going to be in Tinton Falls, and then I believe in the schedule is on the hub. So please attend. The results
Yes.
are that, God bless. The feedback is that they've all been pretty good,
Yes.
and they're all revved up to do farming the right way. So please attend, and it'll be fun.
Next
I'm
Friday,
sorry.
hold on, next Friday, I'm gonna be doing the Mastermind live from our Westfield office. If you're in the like adjacent areas, if you want to put on your calendar to stop by for it. I feel like we get a little bit of an extra boost when it's live. And I'm gonna lean into Shantae. I see you doing something there, but can you tell me, like, was the meeting we had on Thursday informative and fun and empowering?
Yes, it was all three. And it was also helpful that you went around and asked each person to give an objection so that you could answer it on the spot. So like it was more interactive.
Right, and you know, I have no fear, nothing's contrived. I'm just there to serve and give you the experience of 500 great agents that I've had the opportunity to talk to and learn from. And I actually had fun. I know on our executive leadership team, Maria and Deb were like, Rob, do you really want to commit to going out on Thursdays from 5 to 8 every week? And I was like, I won't have it any other way. Like, that's just like who I am. So, and I wish more people would show up because, you know, Shantae, like, what did everybody that didn't show up miss? Like,
The people that didn't show up,
yeah, I mean, like, should everybody have been there?
I mean, as many people that can fit, yes, of course. But I
And
mean,
it can fit. If we have more, we'll get a bigger boat. But I mean, like,
That's
it was just, I just felt like it connected, and like you were able to now have confidence to really overcome any, you know, any objection that somebody puts out to you, right?
yeah, and
Like
I think
we literally broke it down.
I think because it was more intimate and more people like on the masterminds, I think people are taking information in, but they're afraid to speak. But everybody spoke up at the table that day, so I think that helped too, being in person.
All right, so next, you look at the calendar. Next Friday, we'll be live from Westfield and we'll be broadcasting it. If you're our family down in Southeast Florida, I'll be down there. Fozzie should put out a calendar. I'll do a little bit of prospecting and training. So check in with Foz and Colleen. And if there's nothing else, have a fantastic weekend.